All right, unfortunately, we weren't able to do this as a live video, but today what we'll be working over is quadratics in factored form. Okay, so the couple of things that we want to work on today is we want to find our x-intercepts or our zeros. All right, we want to find our y-intercept. All right, we want to find our axis of symmetry, and we also want to find one other point for our graph. All right, we're going to find that point using the axis of symmetry. All right, so the first quadratic that we have in factor form would be x plus 3 times x minus 1. All right, in order to find my x-intercepts when it's already in factor form, what I want to do is I want to take each factor and set them equal to 0. So we have x plus 3 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0, and we're going to solve these as if they were a one-step equation because that's what they are, right? So we have x plus 3, we're going to subtract 3 from both sides, all right? And right here, what we're going to get is x equals 3, all right? We're going to add 1 to both sides, x equals negative 3, and x equals a positive 1. So those are my two x-intercepts here, all right? Negative 3 and positive 1. So I'm going to plot these points. Starting home, that'll be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. And starting from the origin, that'll be a positive 1. So my two x-intercepts would be negative 3, 0, right, and positive 1, 0. The second thing I want to do is I want to find my y-intercept. Now, in order to find my y-intercept, that is always going to be when my x value is equal to 0. So what I want to do is I want to plug in 0 for my x. All right, I'm going to plug in 0 for my x here. All right, we have a function, so we're plugging in 0 for x. All right, 0 plus 3 is going to give me 3. 0 minus 1 is going to give me negative 1. So 3 times negative 1 is going to give me negative 3. So when my x value is 0, when my x value is 0, my y value is negative 3. And when my x value is 0, my y value is negative 3. So here, my y-intercept would be 0, negative 3. And we're going to plot that point from the origin. All right, we're going to go down 3 units, 1, 2, and 3. All right, now, the next thing that we want to do, all right, we got our x-intercept, we have our y-intercept. The next thing that we want to do is we want to find our axis of symmetry. All right, we want to find our axis of symmetry. Now, in standard form, to find your axis of symmetry, you take negative b and divide that by 2a. All right, but here, when it's in standard form, what you want to do is you want to take your two x-intercepts, or you want to take your two x-intercepts, add them together and divide by 2. So one of my x-intercepts is negative 3. My other x-intercept is a positive 1. All right, we're going to divide that by 2. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2 divided by 2. That gives me negative 1. Yes, ma'am. All right, it's okay. I was about to call. I'm actually in the middle of recording the video because it told me that I couldn't do it live because I don't have enough subscribers. So I got to do it. I'm recording it like right now. Yeah, once I post it, yes, ma'am. I'm not gonna. Yeah, no, it's not gonna. It's not gonna be a hangout. I can't do a hangout because I need everybody's number. That's why I didn't put it in the thing. That's why I didn't put it in the Google Classroom because I need everybody's number. Yeah, so I'm just gonna keep posting when they post questions. I'm gonna answer it on YouTube when they post questions. Yeah. Right. I got you. Right. Okay, I got you. I'll call you when I'm finished recording now. Okay, cool. Alright, so, sorry about that. Alright, so my axis of symmetry is -1. So, my axis of symmetry is x equals -1. So, that would be right here. I'm going to draw a dotted line. Through -1. Now, what I know about my axis of symmetry is my axis of symmetry has my vertex point. My vertex point lies on my axis of symmetry, right? It's doesn't have an increase or a decrease, right? That is my one turning point in my parabola. So what I want to do is I want to plug this -1 into my quadratic equation, and that's going to let me know what my vertex is. Now, my x value for my vertex is always going to be my axis of symmetry, which is going to be my -1. All right, so I'm going to plug in -1 for my x, and that's going to let me know what my y value and my vertex is. So -1 plus 3 is going to give me a +2. -1 minus 1 is going to give me -2, and 2 times -2 is going to give me -4. So when my x value is -1, which is my axis of symmetry, all right, my y value is -4, which means that my vertex is going to be -1, -4. All right, so here I'm going to go to -1 from the origin and then go down 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4 units. All right, and that is my vertex. So right now I have my 2 X-intercepts, I have my 1 Y-intercept, and I have my vertex. All right. So because I know that this is my axis of symmetry, this point is 1 unit from my axis of symmetry, and symmetry means that they're the same distance on both sides, which means that I should have another point that's exactly 1 unit away from my axis of symmetry. Now I have enough points. I have 5 points. Now I can grab my parabola right through my vertex. Oh, that's a bad line. Right through my vertex, through my Y-intercept, through my X-intercept, right through my vertex. And now we've drawn our parabola, right? So the 3 things or the 4 or 5 things that we learned here is how to find my 2 X-intercepts, if there are 2 X-intercepts, all right? How to find my Y-intercept, all right? How to find my vertex, and how to find my axis of symmetry, all right? So we're going to do another one, all right, to make sure that we understand the things that we're doing. All right, and then, of course, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll be sure to answer them. I'll be answering questions up until about 11:30, 12 o'clock on YouTube. And then after that, if you have any other questions, my class, you guys will ask me my questions in my Google Classroom and or in my email. All right, so, and I'll be posting videos for every lesson that you guys should be doing on Edgenuity. If you have a question, please make sure you ask. I know it's tough for all of us right now being out of school, but still having to do work, right? Graded work. Make sure y'all understand that this is graded work. I'll be calling to make sure that you have the technology at home. If you don't, please let me know when I call home. That way I can get you the technology that you need in order to do the work. All right, so we're going to do another one. Very similar. All right, we're just going to change our numbers. All right, we're just going to change our numbers. So here, we're going to go x minus 6. We're going to go x . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . let's go x minus 4, x plus 2. Right. All right, so again, quadratic already in factored form, right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to find our x-intercept. So one thing I tell my students, I'm going to tell anybody else that's watching this video, all right, do not skimp out on the steps, right? Of course, sometimes you can look at it, do it in your head, but the one common mistake that we usually make is the signs, right? We see -4, so we automatically go, oh, x must be -4, x must be +2. But that's not the case, right? We need to set it equal to 0, right? So we have x minus 4 equals 0, right? We got x plus 2 equals 0. All right, we want to add 4 to both sides over here. That's going to give me x equals a +4. We're going to subtract 2 from both sides on this one, and that's going to give me x equals -2. All right, so now we have our 2 x-intercepts. And we can go ahead and plot those 2 points over here, right? So the first one would be at +4, which is at 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, we'll go ahead and plot that point. The second one will be at -2, start at the origin, -1, -2. All right, those are my 2 x-intercepts. All right, we want to go ahead and write that. X-intercepts. That would be -2 and 0, +4, 0. All right, second thing we can go ahead and do, we have our 2 x-intercepts. We can go ahead and find our axis of symmetry, right? Our axis of symmetry will be adding my 2 x-intercepts and dividing by 2. All right, that's going to give me 4 plus a -2 divided by 2. All right, that gives me 2 divided by 2, which gives me +1. All right, so my axis of symmetry should be at +1, which is about right here. All right, once we go ahead and draw our axis of symmetry, we can go ahead and find our vertex, right? How do we find our vertex? We take our axis of symmetry value, which is x equals +1, and we plug it into our equation, our quadratic. So when x is +1, that gives me 1 minus 4, all right, 1 plus 2. That's going to give me -3, +3, which gives me -9. So when x is 1, my y is -9. So my vertex would be 1, -9. We go ahead and plot that at 1 and go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, this is my vertex, 1, -9. And lastly, we can find our y-intercept, right? How do we find our y-intercept? Right, we plug in 0 for x. That gives me 0 minus 4, 0 plus 2. That gives me -4 times a +2, which gives me a -8. So when my x is 0, my y is -8. All right, and that gives me my y-intercept. Now we get one more point, right? Because right here we have our axis of symmetry, we have our y-intercept, which is 1 unit away from my axis of symmetry. So we can find another point that's 1 unit away from my axis of symmetry, which would be right here. All right, and now we have 5 points, and we can graph our parabola. All right, so we can go through our vertex, through our x-intercepts. All right, I'm gonna move this a little bit closer for you guys. So you got, if you gotta copy it down, right, the steps, the work, all right, you guys can see it. All right, if you got to pause the video to copy the work down, that's fine. All right, I'm going to back it up. All right, I'm going to go ahead and erase this. I want you guys to see what it may look like if you have 0 y-intercepts or just 1 y-intercept. Out of this out. All right, so what happens if we have a quadratic that's factored and the 2 factors are the same, right? So we have a perfect square trinomial or a perfect square quadratic here. All right, so what we'll have here is we'll only have 1 x-intercept, right? The 2 factors are the same, so there's no reason to go x minus 3 2 times. All right, we can just set x minus 3 equal to 0 once. All right, add 3 to both sides right here. And that's going to let me know that my x-intercept here is 3. That's my only x-intercept. I can go ahead and plot that point right here. So, right, my x-intercept here would be 3, 0. All right, 3, 0. That's my only x-intercept. Right, now, I don't have another x-intercept, so this means that this right here is going to be my vertex. All right, this is going to be my vertex. So I can draw a line through here. All right, how do I know that's going to be a vertex, right? So let's say that I want to use the steps that you were just taught, right? The steps that you were just taught. Well, the only x-intercept that I have right here is 3. So we don't have a middle point, which means that I will plug in 3 right here to find my y value for my vertex, right? Because 3 is my middle point, right? So if I plugged in 3, that's going to give me 3 minus 3 here, 3 minus 3 here. That's going to give me 0 times 0, which is 0. So when my x is 3, my y is 0, which means that my vertex would be 3, 0. All right. Now I have my vertex and my X-intercepts. The next thing I can do is I can find my Y-intercept. How do I find my Y-intercept? Again, I take 0, I plug it in for X now. All right, I'll take 0, I plug it in for X. That's always how you find your Y-intercept in a function, no matter what you're trying to do. If you want to know your Y-intercept for a function, you take 0 and you plug it in for X. So that's exactly what I'm about to do here. All right, I'm going to plug in 0 for X. I get 0 minus 3 times 0 minus 3. All right, that's going to give me a negative 3 times a negative 3, which is going to give me a positive 9, right? Make sure you check your signs. So here, my Y-intercept is going to be 0, 9, right? So let's go ahead and plot that. We'll go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, we can go ahead and plot this at 0, 9. Now that I have my Y-intercept, right, I know my Y-intercept is 1, 2, 3 units away from my axis of symmetry, right? So now that I know that my Y-intercept is 3 units away from my axis of symmetry, that means I should have another point that is 3 units away from my axis of symmetry on the other side, right? So we come over here, we'll count 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 units, right? And I have another point 3 units away on the opposite side of my axis of symmetry. Right? Now I have 3 points. I can draw my parabola. Right? I can draw it through my vertex, through my Y-intercept, right? And then on this side through my vertex, and through my third point. And this is how you graph your quadratics when they're already in factored form. Now, the 3 things, not 3 things, the X-intercept, the Y-intercept, your vertex, and your axis of symmetry. Your 4 things that you should have gotten from this video is how to find your X-intercept, how to find your Y-intercept, how to find your vertex, and then how to find your axis of symmetry. All right. Those are the 4 things that you should have learned from this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. My students, if you have any questions, please email me. Now, this latter part is for my students, or if you want to practice on your own, you can use these problems that I'm about to give my students. What I need you guys to do is the 2 problems that are in quadratic, the quadratics I'm going to put on the board in factored form. What I need you guys to do is I need you to work them out on a sheet of paper, right? Take a picture of it after you work them out, and then email me your work. I'm going to need you to find your X-intercepts, your Y-intercepts, your vertex, and your axis of symmetry. All right, those are the 4 things I'm going to need you to find with the problems that I leave on the board. All right. I'm going to need this by Wednesday at 5. All right, I'm going to be putting in grades on Wednesday by 5. Also, the grades that I'll be putting in, I need you to complete your Edgenuity work that is quadratics in factored form. All right. I'm going to give you guys 2 assignment grades, all right? 1 assignment is going to be from Edgenuity, completing the assignment in quadratics in factor form. You also need to complete the quiz, all right? And I'll replace your assignment grade if your quiz grade is higher. All right, but what I need you guys to do is to complete these 2 problems on a sheet of paper. All right, take a picture. In order for you to get credit for watching this video today, right, I need you to comment your name and what class period you are in. All right, so I can give you credit for watching this video today. All right, the 2 problems that I want you guys to do. All right, f of x, we're going to go x minus 4 x plus 4. All right, so the two problems that I want you guys to complete and have your X-intercept, Y-intercept, your vertex, and your axis of symmetry. All right, those are the 4 things I'm going to be looking for. Oh, in your graph. Make sure you graph it as well. All right, make sure you graph it as well. Those are the things that you'll be graded on. Please complete the assignment. It's going to be due Wednesday by 5 o'clock in your Google Classroom. Please have it posted. All right. The other thing that you guys need to complete by Wednesday is your Edgenuity assignment for quadratics and factor form. Now, if you've already completed the assignment for quadratics and factor form, then more power to you, right? That's one less assignment that you have to do. On Wednesday, I will have another video posted for you guys. It's going to be the next lesson that's on Edgenuity. I'll be teaching that lesson, giving you problems to turn in on Google Classroom and work to turn in on Edgenuity. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or Ms. Delatorre as well through email, through Google Voice, through the Google Classroom. Either way, please reach out to us. I know, again, it's hard for us not to be in class or not to be in school and you still have work to do. I know it feels like an extended vacation, but unfortunately, we're at work, you're at work, you should be working. If you have any questions, do not take this time to just sit off and do anything, because eventually we will be coming back to school, whether it's this year or when we come back in August. And I don't want you guys to be so far behind that you're struggling in your next math class, right? So please, please, please do the assignments. Again, f of x is x minus 4 times x plus 4. The second one will be f of x equals x minus 3 times x minus 5, right? These will be our 2 problems to do, right? Basically, it's your homework, right? X-intercept, Y-intercept, vertex, axis of symmetry, and graph it. All right, I'm grading it on the whole thing. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please comment below. I'll be checking this YouTube video for an hour and a half after it's posted. All right, probably after that, right? If the messages come to my email, then I'll definitely be answering those questions. All right, again, if you got any questions, me and Ms. Delatorre will be here answering all your questions. Again, thank you, and you guys have a blessed day.